1 week ago in Parliament, if you recall, the issue of pawn shops was raised by MP Seah Kian Peng. Now, they seem to be big business these days. Value Max, one of the oldest pawnbroking chains, launched its IPO last week. And if its listing goes through, it will be the third pawnbroker to go public in over a year. Overall, pawn shop numbers have risen about 75% over the last 5 years. Numbers there 114 in 2008, 191 in 2012, and 201 as of October this year. Our pawnbroking loans constitute around 3% of consumer loans issued by banks and finance companies. And the end of August this year, that amounted to $3.7 billion. Typically, around 95% of the pledges are redeemed. Now, those figures were revealed by Law Minister K. Shanmugam in response to Mr. Seah's questions in Parliament. So Mr. Seah Kian Peng joins me in studio today. So Mr. Seah, thanks for joining us. So was this something you observed in your constituency, an area of concern which made you raise it in Parliament?
Well, I've started to see more and more of these pawn shops appearing, MRT stations, HDB heartlands. So and that prompted me to ask the question in Parliament.
So at your various Meet the People sessions, do you see more people coming to you with financial problems?
Well, the number has stayed quite constant. Well, the good news is that with the labour crunch, anyone looking for a job has been able to find a job.
Okay, let's give some background to our audience. Earlier this year, the Economist Intelligence Unit ranked Singapore the 6th most expensive city to live in, and household debt is also rising. So we've seen a lot of policies like the TDSR and, of course, new credit card rules. So, Mr. Seah, would you say that seen in totality, the issue of more people turning to pawn shops is a matter of social concern?
Indeed, I think that that is a matter of concern to me. I think it reflects a bigger and a deeper problem. The fact is that with so many pawn shops around, I think I'm concerned about the need for us to make sure that people have better financial literacy skills, financial planning, budgeting, simple things. But unfortunately, it appears that the various programs run by different agencies, government, I think it's not as effective as we would want it to be.
So you're saying that it could be even more effective?
Certainly. I think that the fact is that with the numbers that we just saw, it reflects that more and more people are using these services, and quite a lot of the items remain unredeemed.
Actually, a lot more people are using these services, but the trend seems to be more young working professionals turning to pawn shops. So it seems like the stigma is fading. The image has changed. It used to be, look kind of like a prison cell with all those grills, and now they look like commercial banks.
Sometimes you're not sure you actually walk into a pawn shop.
Precisely. So would you say that's one of the reasons that people are actually considering pawn shops instead of, taking short-term loans from banks, because there's just less process involved?
Well, certainly I think the credit is a lot easier to secure, but I don't blame them. I think the fact is that rather they go to a pawn shop than go to an illegal money lender.
Okay.
But if we go to the source of the problem, which I think is the more fundamental issue, is how do we make Singaporeans more better at just budgeting, better at financial literacy. I think that to me is the main problem that we need to solve.
Okay, as of August, pawnbroking loans $3.7 billion. Last year, for the whole of 2012, it was $7.1 billion. That's a lot of money. Are you concerned that loans this accessible might aggravate various social problems?
The easy credit is certainly one problem. What is the cause of this? Sometimes it may be due to just a cash crunch. Could be due to gambling, could be due to cheating scams, could be due to business failures. Whatever it is, I think if we go back to fundamental issues, which is really how do we manage within our means, spend within our means, I think we need to promote more the value of thrift rather than the value of borrowing more.
Okay.
I think that's something which goes back to 101 lessons.
Mr. Seah, we have questions from our Facebook viewers. Here's one of them. They're saying that it's a demand and supply issue, that the number of pawn shops is growing because more people are finding it harder to make ends meet. What's your response to that?
Well, I think if we, as I mentioned, if we are able to better manage and plan and not spend within our means, I think the demand is created by us. The demand can be killed by us as well. So if we are better able to manage it, I think we will not need to go to a pawn shop.
Okay, so better education and better financial literacy.
That will be the area which I think we need to spend more resources on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seah, for coming in. It was great
Thanks
speaking
for
to
inviting
you.
me here.
And that was Mr. Seah on the rising number of Singaporeans who are turning to pawn